We are live, Barry Wolfe.
This is exciting. I haven't done too many live events. I'm still learning this. So and I haven't done StreamYard at all. So this is awesome. Very cool.
StreamYard is so cool, isn't it? I was so nervous in the beginning. Adam, our friend Adam Lipkin, had me go on a LinkedIn Live, and then I got LinkedIn Live, but I was like, it's too confusing and complicated, but it's really not. Once it's set up, it's really, really easy.
So we're on what? LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, and CNBC? No?
That's my goal. My goal is to get on CNBC.
What are we? We're Facebook and LinkedIn, and is it Instagram or?
Facebook and LinkedIn, and I don't think it's Instagram. I think it's YouTube. It's YouTube, okay. Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hello, everybody.
Hello. This is my dear friend, Barry Wolfe. He is the king of the universe. I mean, he is the senior managing director of Marcus and Millichap. Barry and I met in 2008 when he was listing a project called Shops of Arrowhead. Right. Shops of Arrowhead is still today. I own it, and I love owning it. And it was
never sell that one.
I'm never selling it. And while we had it under contract, I tease him all the time because he kept calling me. You absolutely didn't think I was going to close.
I don't. It's been a while. Probably not. I don't.
You're like, is everything okay? Why are you calling me? I'll see you on the 15th or whatever the closing date was. So, but I love it. And we're basically just acquaintances until about 4 or 5 years ago, where we both got out in this mastermind group of social media, and we've become good friends. And I really value our friendship. I love, that I can call you, and say, what is the cap rate of this? And you're just such a big help. So I really appreciate it.
We are able to trade like these 5:30 a.m. text exchanges with each other. There aren't too many of those that we're able to do that with. So
I know when I wake up at 4:30 instead of 5 that you're up.
Yeah. Right.
But you go to bed much earlier than I do.
I think I do. Yeah. Because you're on Clubhouse when I'm in bed.
So welcome to Save a Deal Saturday. Yep. So let me tell you how this came about. So I got this LinkedIn Live, welcome, you apply, and then I didn't hear, and then I applied again, and then you got it. It's kind of like being a Publix bag boy. If, both of my boys tried to be Publix bag boys, and they don't give you that job unless you try 3 times. It's like, do you really want it? So
I've only tried once with LinkedIn Live, so I need to repeat it. I need to do it again as a moral.
Exactly. They want to see if you really need it or want it. And then I had it for like a month, and I got an email like, you're going to lose it because you're not using it. And they really want you to have a series. So that's a pressure. Like, with posting on social, I can decide, am I going to post today or am I not? But when you commit to a series, it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to sneeze. So, excuse me. Thank you. So I went on LinkedIn, and I said to my community, do you want role play Wednesday or Save a Deal Saturday? And I got even 50-50. Yeah. And I was like, wow, okay, I'll do both, and I'll just alternate them. So I do every other Saturday, Save a Deal Saturday, and every other Wednesday, role play Wednesday. And everyone's loving it. So I'm excited.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So you are today going to talk to us about a deal that you had to save.
Right.
So I'm going to turn the floor over to you and tell us the story.
So this is a deal we actually closed Thursday. So just this last week. So it's kind of fresh.
Congratulations.
To a degree. Thanks. I appreciate it. So this is a deal. It's in Florida, in Central Florida. And it's obviously we're in the midst of COVID. So it's a property. I do a lot of pre-sales is what I call them, where we take a deal out pretty early, when they basically just started construction, maybe even before under construction. And the beauty of that for a developer is we're able to get the deal executed, have it under contract and non-contingent long before they deliver the space over to the tenant. So they know they've got the deal sold. They can just move on to the next deal if they're an active developer.
So you're talking about freestanding triple net leases, right?
Yeah. What I do is I sell, obviously we work on shopping centers here, kind of South Florida and regionally, but really outside of that, I sell single tenant properties, which I always tell folks are these things we see all over the place, the QSR restaurants, the banks, the drugstores, the Wawas, as I'm wearing, convenience stores that we see all over the place. So
I
we see
need that
all over
shirt.
the country.
When do I get the shirt? After I close my deal?
You have to go to a grand opening, a Wawa grand opening.
Oh, well, I'll be at one soon.
You will be. You'll be at most definitely. So now I've been to several, and last one though they stopped them this year or last year, but hopefully they'll be picking them back up. They just stopped due to COVID. So I got a few of these. So we it was a pre-sale. So again, from a developer standpoint, we get it to contract, market it, go to market it aggressively, and get it to contract is the goal. Long before they've turned it over and the tenant's paying rent. So as a merchant developer, your goal is to have it sold and out the door basically the day they start paying rent. Most developers don't want to collect rent. They just want to have it done and move on to their next projects. So this is one we took the market back middle or so of last year. COVID had just started. I think it was like April or May. We had taken it to the market, knowing that it was going to be done probably September, October was the plan. So we took it at an aggressive cap rate, took it to market, had several offers on it in spite of COVID, and got it to contract. That part was all pretty smoothly. Where it got hairy is in these last couple of months, where this was a deal that was supposed to have been completed November, maybe early December. And we started sensing problems come the fall, where I don't know if what you're seeing on anything you're working on, permitting is running all over the country. It's not a South Florida thing. It's not a Florida thing. Permitting is taking forever in most jurisdictions. Even title companies are running slow. I mean, I've had deals where it's taken 2 months to get a title commitment issued. Some counties are just shut down and you can't even get title issued in a lot of places. So permitting and plan approvals and everything else was just dragging and taking forever. So that was a big part of the problem. We had a client, the buyer, who was represented by another broker who was getting very frustrated with the entire process. He was starting to think, am I dealing with a competent developer? All I hear are the brokers telling me it's the county, permitting's taking a long time. And I think he was always kind of skeptical if that was the case, and just had to get him comfortable that was the case. And he was looking to close this by year end at the latest. Originally, that looked like no problem. We'd have that done. The tenant would be open by the end of the year and come. Yes.
Was it a 1031 buyer?
It was a 1031 buyer. Yeah. So I'll get to that. That became a big issue. So he ideally wanted to close by year end, and we thought we'd be able to pull that off, but then basically Thanksgiving time, you start to realize, crap, this isn't going to fall into place. We're not going to have this done in time. So the way I look at my role in a deal is to be the quarterback for the transaction. That you've got the developer, you've got the attorney, you've got the broker representing the buyer, you've got the buyer, you've got the contractor, you've got a lot of different parties. So again, I look at it like a football game where I'm the quarterback and my job is to distribute the ball and kind of see what's happening on the field overall and make sure the receiver's doing their job, the contractor's doing their job, the guy who's a running back who might be the other broker, they're maintaining just communication, just keeping the deal moving forward down the field and not have it slip out of track and just become a problem. So I've seen a lot of deals fall apart just because there was no quarterback. There was nobody kind of keeping the ball moving down and maintaining the processes. And if there's problems, being communicative and making sure everybody's on the same page and working together. So that's really the way I look at my role in any of these deals, is just to kind of distribute the ball and make sure everybody's on the same page. So really what I did was communicated with the developer. What are the problems? Okay, they weren't getting feedback from the contractor. So I go to the contractor. I need you to be upfront and honest with me. No BSing. No, well, we're hoping this, we're going to do that. What's it really like? What are you really running into? So we can be upfront with the buyer. I'm a big believer. There's an old adage: problems don't kill deals, surprises kill deals. So I just want to know the truth, know what's happening, so I can keep everybody updated, and we'll work with that, generally speaking. So we kept hearing, well, we've got these problems with the county. They're taking forever to approve the permits and the plans, and just being upfront with the buyer. He didn't like the news. It's not what he wanted to hear, but sometimes you just got to break the bad news. Here's what we're looking at. We're not closing by year end. Here's what we're looking at and the process. And what he was always upfront with us was, his 1031 deadline was coming up. Actually, I think today. I think was his deadline, which means it had to be closed by yesterday. So that was a finish line. I had to tell everybody and make sure we were going to meet that deadline. That's a line in the sand. If you're familiar with 1031 exchanges, you can't move.
Can you explain? I know there's 2 time frames, but I don't know what they are. There's an identification and then a closing, or
Yeah.
can you explain that?
1031 exchange, correct. You've got 45 days from the day you sell your property. And first of all, the money has to go to what's called a qualified intermediary. You can't take the money at your sale. If you do that, you're done. So you've got a 45-day deadline to identify your properties. And just so you know, that's a firm deadline as well. In fact, I had a person call me on Wednesday of this week. I'm in a 1031 exchange. I've got 2 weeks left, but I'm going to submit and ask for an extension of that date. It shouldn't be a problem. And I told him, I said, there's no such thing as an extension. And he said, seriously? I thought I just call somebody, I submit for a few weeks or a month or 2 extension, and it's no problem. I said, no, there's no such thing. It's a 45-day deadline. So
when you identify the property, I get that the money goes into an intermediary.
Right.
Who do you tell? I found the property. Who do you tell?
You send a form letter to your qualified intermediary listing the properties, and they don't do anything with it. It just sits in a file. They don't submit that to the IRS. So off the record, kind of, if you've got a really friendly attorney / accountant, some of them will play with that potentially, but it's not even a gray area in reality. If you ever got audited, you could be screwed.
No, we're not recommending anyone does that.
Yeah, no, okay. Never. And if you work with a big QI, which you should, then they're hard and fast. You don't move.
So I give my 3 properties. This is one of them. Now, how many days do I have to close that which is one of the 3?
You've got 135 days then. You have a total from the day you sold your property to the day you close your replacement property has to be within 180 days. And that's a hard date. It never moves. The only way it occasionally is, in Florida, if we have a hurricane or there's some sort of a natural disaster, sometimes the IRS will issue regulations that date's gotten extended X number of weeks. So occasionally it does happen, but that's a rarity, and it's usually based on a natural disaster of some sorts. COVID doesn't apply. Generally, they actually did move the dates mid last year, but we're getting too complicated. But generally speaking, it's a hard date. So
he had to close his 135 ended today.
Right.
He thought he was going to close in October, November.
Right. So we start, then, there's financing involved. So we start running into issues with the financing, the lender. A lot of times you've got a hard date from your lender. Your rate is locked in for X period of time. That doesn't sit out there forever. So we started running into a situation where his rate lock is what it's called. That was expiring. So he's panicking. Rates are really, really low. He's concerned, our rate's going to go up. And what's that going to do to my return? So again, we're just pushing and pushing, but running into problems with the jurisdictions and where we just couldn't get the deal CO'd and get it closed. And that became an issue ultimately where we don't have a certificate of occupancy. The lender's not willing to close without a certificate of occupancy. So you start coming up with different ideas, whether that's hard money, or closing all cash, just different ways that the deal could potentially get closed, even if the lender is just going to be challenging and difficult. So you just got to, look back in the bank of, how have we done deals in the past? What are scenarios? What can we do to get this deal ultimately closed? And that's what we did, was just figuring out, how could he still close this deal, meet his 1031 deadline. And that's what we were able to do at the last minute, was frankly come up with some different ways, whether with a hard money loan, some short-term financing. He was able to bridge that period from the date his lender said they wouldn't fund it, so we could close without the certificate of occupancy and get it closed with a short-term loan that he'll then pay off in a couple of weeks once the CO is issued and he gets his new bank in place.
So he bought before they even opened then?
Correct. They're going to be open probably in about 30 days or so. Correct.
But how creative. So I've had 2 situations because Greg Parsons says, how can we as landlord get the municipalities to move faster on permitting? So I have I have stories, a lot of stories, but 2 ways that I've been able to do this. I think I've shared this with you before. I once needed FP&L, which in Florida is Florida Power and Light, the utility company. I needed to close a deal. I was selling a pad and a Walgreens land lease to a Walgreens developer. And while it was under contract, they found that on my site, I had an FP&L transformer that was supposed to be in an easement, but it was on my site.
Right.
And they wouldn't close until I could get FP&L to move the transformer that was in the ground off of my site. And, we have a closing in 3 weeks, and they're laughing at me. Like, you think FP&L is going to get out there in 3 weeks? Like, I won't even have approval in 3 weeks. I went to the downtown Fort Lauderdale FP&L office, and I sat in the waiting room for 8 hours with cookies.
Oh, wow.
With big cookies.
Oh, that's perfect.
And I got it. I got it moved in time. They went to do the title or the survey, and FP&L didn't move it far enough. It was still on my site.
Right.
Like this much. But
Right.
I said, you got to close. And they closed, and they went and dealt with FP&L. I said, I'll escrow some money. And then another time, with my site that I hopefully am going to get a t-shirt on, we had an issue. We were trying to I built a Starbucks strip center, as you well know, and we had to get Starbucks opened by Christmas or they could terminate. So if you can imagine, I'm 6 months late in the delivery because of the city and because of the county and because of the permitting. And literally, I had a 6-month contingency, which was if they don't open by Christmas, they can terminate. And I've built them a store.
You built a building, yeah.
So I'm going to do whatever I need to do, right? So I had, it was the county there was Broward County, not the city of Plantation, had to do something. It's something to do with the lights. I can't remember what it was. So I told, and the GC was calling, and my land use council was calling, everyone was calling, and I'm in my construction meeting. I'm like, okay, where is this located? They're like, in Loxahatchee. And I'm like, okay, I need the address. They're like, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to go see them. And they're like, they're not going to see you. I'm like, give me the address. And I said, I took cookies to FP&L. I'm going to take cupcakes to these guys. And they thought I was the most ridiculous thing ever. I get these big cupcakes, gorgeous looking cupcakes. And I go drive to this Loxahatchee, which is in the boonies. I literally thought I was going into Deliverance, like the movie. I called Josie. I'm like, if you don't hear from me in an hour, like this is the ping me where I'm at, because, like I went down the road 3 times and turned around thinking I have the wrong address. So finally they go, no, keep going. It's at the end of this dirt road. So I'm standing, I pull up and there's these big fences. They do not want you in this place, right? So I wait for some guy to come out, and I zip my Cadillac in there. Right. And and I park my car, and there's like all these guys, and I go, and there's trailers, and I go walking up, and I knock on the I open the door, and like 8 guys, like, who are you? And what are you doing here? I said, well, I have cupcakes for you. And they're like, they were speechless. I go, so do you know, does 100 South Pine Island ring a bell to you? And they're like, oh my God. I go, I'm not here to complain, because we had been calling them. Right. Like, I'm not here to complain. I know you guys work hard. I know I'm probably 21 people down the list, but I'm the owner. I'm the woman that built the strip center. Right. If my Starbucks doesn't get open in 11 days, they're not going to open at all. And I'm going to lose about $3 million. No pressure, but I just wanted you to know that it's not some big corporation. It's me. I'm the face of this job. Right. And if there's anything we can do for you to move me up the list, I would be forever grateful, and you could have cupcakes for the rest of your life. And they're like, and one guy, the boss said, did you make the cupcakes? I go, oh no, the only thing I make are reservations. And they cracked up, and 48 hours later, they were on the site.
That's awesome. No, that's a great example. I mean, it's amazing. You're talking about as far as bringing treats or food. And I remember when I was practicing law, I represented Ruby Tuesday restaurants. And back then they were a great chain. And they had something, whenever we ran into issues on a deal with a tough attorney or like you're talking something like that, they had a gift card where it's like a party of 4. It was anything you want on the menu, go crazy, order anything and everything. And every night I was like, I need to get some of those gift cards to send to so-and-so. And it's amazing. You have a difficult attorney and you get something like that to them, where you're saying cupcakes. All of a sudden they roll over and your best friends all of a sudden. So it's amazing like that. I've got a client, he'll send pizzas to the construction site if they're being, if guys are working slow. Let me feed you dinner. So those are great ideas. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's so important. Like, first of all, my team couldn't believe it. They couldn't. I was so excited when they couldn't believe it. They're like, "Oh, were we wrong?" But I think what's important is that you put a face behind the name, and that I said, if you can't do it, I understand. I will figure it out. But I just wanted you to know that there's a real person.
Right.
BPC or BPI LLC is not some rich guy or rich corporation. It is me. That's who I am. And I think that makes the whole difference. And I didn't go up there to like stomp around and yell. And how can we solve the problem together?
Right. And I think it's also, you were just talking, you're being politely persistent. That's obviously something you and I talk about a lot. And sometimes you got to be the squeaky wheel in reality. You can't just sit there and wait and hope. And, somebody has taken that extra step as well to go, like you did, going up there, seeing them face to face, bringing them something that's special to them. And I mean, who brings cupcakes? Nobody's ever brought us cupcakes. I mean, you're awesome. So no, sometimes it is that simple in reality.
Yeah, I can't. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall when I left the trailer.
Right.
What the hell? What the hell was that?
Right. No, you made their day, and they did. Bent over backwards to help you get what you wanted.
They're like, where do you live? I go, I live 10 minutes from the site. They go, you drove all the way up here? I go, yeah. And let me tell you, I was a little scared coming down this dirt road. I mean, it was great. It was great. So we have some comments. So Michael Keating says, I follow both of you on LinkedIn. Looking forward to doing business with you both in the future. Yes, Michael, we would love to do business. Donald Dooley says, hi, Beth and Barry. George Smith says, hi. Debbie Harris says, hi. Reshma Parvani says, hi. Ronaldo Vivas, good morning. Terry King says, hi. Susan Steele, hi. Faye Osmus, hi. Terry King, hi. Latoya Cheeks, hi. I said hi on behalf of both of us. Jake Anthony Sayenz Cerda. It's his birthday. So let's say happy birthday to Jake. Everyone say happy birthday to Jake. George Leoper, the Cuban guy, or just Cuban guy. I think we got to take the out of it. He says hi, everybody. Rebecca says hi. Rebecca said, yikes. I think that had to do with the whole permitting problem. Greg Parsons, George Smith. Your friend Alan Buchanan said that you are a true pro.
that coming from Alan, that means a lot, because Alan
you were the one that told me about Traffic Tips Tuesday years ago. Brian O'Leary, good morning from Chicago. George Smith, being the expert and having options and those hard money resources available is the key. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dotine Stevens, do you believe COVID has taught us different and new ways to get it closed?
Probably. I think so. Yeah, just keep being creative and persistent. It's just another thing you got to deal with. So, yeah.
David Blackwood, great information on a Saturday. Kenneth Miners, great to hear two amazing teachers and CRE professionals together sharing your experiences. We love to share our experiences. We love to talk. So you guys get the benefit of that. Yes, Sean. Yeah. So Sean said, Beth, did you share the ICSC coverage? Barry was on that first thing this morning. Oh my gosh, ICSC supported Space Tank. That was very nice.
It was.
Reshma says, love, politely persistent. Yeah, I call it respectfully persistent.
Yeah.
Love that advice. How do we solve the problem together? Greg, tactical empathy in practice. Chris McCarthy, college rules still apply. Food wins. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I like to, what is the problem? Every problem has a solution. And what we don't need when we're trying to come up with a solution is drama.
Right.
When I'm in the middle of a really tough lease now, I think I'm about to hit the 3-year mark. It is painful, but every time we have a problem, there's parties involved that are drama. And I'm like, we don't need that.
Right.
What is the problem? How do we solve the problem? Let's look at the problem and take the drama out of it. Like the wringing of the hands, woe is me. That doesn't help.
Right. And I think having just open and honest communication. And I mean, sometimes I will, again, getting back to the 1031 exchange, I want to know what is the deadline somebody has. And a lot of times I feel like I need that, or I want that so I can try to take advantage of something because I know they're going to be desperate. And a lot of times just give me the information just so I can know what I'm working with. And it's hard to have a deadline that you don't know exists and they're making updates and they aren't even real. And so just open, honest communication, I think is really important.
So any more about this deal? So you closed it. Any more things that happened, or what would be your top 3 pieces of advice that you learned from, or that you reminded yourself of with this deal for the audience?
I to a degree, like on this one, what was unique is dealing with COVID. I mean, you had a party, the buyer that just wasn't immersed in deals. And I think they felt like we were making things up, that, the county's slow or there's problems with permitting. His default immediately was either the developer doesn't know what he's doing, or they're just playing game. They don't, the broker, nobody knows what they're doing. There's problems with the deal. There's gonna be problems with the property because I'm buying this from some incompetent people. And just getting him to understand that, look, we're running into this in every deal we're doing. If you want to call the county, we had him call the county and realize, holy cow, there really are issues, that things are, everybody's working from home, and just help him to realize that we're not making things up. So at least then we're all working together towards the same goal and helping him accomplish what he's looking to do. So that would be one thing. And I think just then communicating with everybody, again, where I talk about being the quarterback is, reaching out to the attorney. I mean, even though, week of closing, just making sure the documents are being done, making sure we have the estoppels and SNDAs are all in place. It's as basic as making sure the delivery gets done and not waiting till the day before, particularly when a 1031 deadline's coming up. Let's make sure the docs are all sent a week before. That's not, for a Wednesday closing, don't send them Tuesday, because if FedEx, I've had deals where FedEx docs got lost and they got delayed for 2 or 3 days, which is, okay, that's fine, except if you've got a 1031 deadline. If that happens, it could cost the buyer his 1031, and therefore it costs the sale for the seller, and it costs the brokers the deal. So you've just got to really thinking through what could go wrong in reality and trying to avoid that.
Absolutely. Well, I love this story. 2 things, since you keep bringing up football. I believe Tampa Bay is going to kick Kansas City's ass. What do you think?
I'm going to take KC. I don't follow either team much, but
Go Florida. You need to be go Florida.
I'm from Georgia. So if the Falcons were in it, I'd be pulling hard for the Falcons. But my kids are in Tampa, though. They're enjoying kind of going to a few little things. But now I'm going to take Kansas City and to repeat.
Okay. And then for everyone that's listening, thank you guys for being with us on a Saturday. Barry Wolfe and Beth Azor. We are going to have an encore, not of this, Monday at 5 p.m. on Clubhouse. Barry and I are going to host a room Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Is now the time to sell your single net listing, right? Is that the title? Something like that.
With that. Yeah, we can go with that. And I'm not one of these guys that's a broker that is always sell. I've got a lot of clients that hold, and I think it's something we'll discuss, but I think it really is person specific and what your goals are. So
yeah. So if you guys have a single net tenant deals, if you have clients that do, tell them to watch. I have a client right now that we're evaluating a portfolio. Which ones should we sell? Which ones should we hold? Should we hold all of them? Frankly, I'm telling my clients, I think they should sell their power centers. I think power centers a year from now is, if I owned a power center, I'd be selling it.
Yeah, tough part is the buyer pool for power centers is pretty thin. It's a tough time.
It'll be thinner in a year.
No, I don't disagree. Actually, one of the things that we've worked with some power center owners on, it's easier when you're developing it, is subdividing it, where you've got each big box as its own separate tax ID, separate parcel, and you can kind of sell those off individually. That's one approach. We've actually done a few deals that way, but it's hard to do once it's already developed, but that's something we've worked on.
This one new client of mine has done that actually, and I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah. Power centers, you're right. I mean, they're not enclosed malls, but they're kind of the step they're the next step. And
Well,
you're
the
right.
problem is any investor always needs to think about the exit.
Yeah.
And the problem with power centers is, as you know, there aren't 40 new tenants that are going to backfill these bankruptcies.
No.
You know, I'm 98% leased in my portfolio, except for a Pier 1,
Yeah.
a Kirkland's, and a soon to be coming soon DXL, which takes my 98 to 78 in 3 properties.
Right. The big boxes. Yeah.
And
those are the tough ones. You're right.
And I hustle and I canvas and I prospect, and it's, I still have a Michael's. I have an empty Michael's after 3 years. So yeah, so that's that. So I hope you guys, I like to end for sure at 11:30. We're right there. Have a great time watching the game. Are you going to watch the game?
Yeah, I'll watch probably. Yeah, I'll stay up at least for the first half, and then I go to bed early. Hey,
I know. All right, well, Barry,
I will.
we've been trying to do this since I started. Thank you so much. You stopped traveling to see your girls in Tampa so you could do this with me, and I'm looking forward to our clubhouse. 5 o'clock is now the time to sell your triple net asset. I'll see you guys. Have a great Saturday. Barry, thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Everybody.